Namaste. A question has been asked in relation to Jeevaatma and Paramatma. It has multiple questions. This was in regards to the discussion that we had in our Srimad Bhagavatam class with the example of Saubari Muni. I'm going to read out the questions and then try to respond to each of them. The heart region is the seat of the Jeevaatma and the Paramatma. Atma is immeasurable, with an impossible guess about a point of hair divided into 100 parts and each part divided further. There is no question of making such guesses about Paramatma, who is Vibhu, meaning omnipresent, unlike Jeevaatma, whose Anu, was restricted by time, place and object. Therefore, Paramatma is transcendental and incomparable. So this is just restating what we discussed in our class. But before we get into the actual questions, one note about this, that when the Jeevaatma get liberated, the Jeevaatma can also be pervasive everywhere, but not through their physical presence, but through their consciousness. Being in Vaikuntha, Atma can expand his consciousness wherever he wants to. Whereas when it comes to Paramatma, he is not sitting in one place and senses or expands his consciousness. He himself is present everywhere. That's a big difference between the Muktatma and Paramatma. We are Baddhatmas, meaning the embodied conditioned souls. Our jnana, the consciousness, is only spread throughout our body. That's because the jnana is curtailed by our papa and punya, the sin and good deeds. Once we are done with our papa and punya are destroyed. That means we don't have to be in this material world. That's what called as liberation. That means we become liberated souls, which is Muktatma. At that point of time, our jnana, the consciousness, is not restricted, curtailed by papa and punya, because we are free of papa and punya. Therefore, the jnana can spread everywhere. That means it can be conscious of everything, cognize everything. At that point, the jnana, the consciousness, is Vibhu, omnipresent. If you have time, kindly listen to 13th chapter, 13 sloka, 14 sloka, 15, 16 and 17. That speaks about how Paramatma and the Muktatma has similar qualities in many things, but with one major difference. That is, the Muktatma, the liberated soul, is Anu Matram, is very minute, whereas Paramatma, the Lord, is Vibhu. The Muktatma is, its knowledge is Vibhu, but he himself is Anu, whereas Bhagavan, Paramatma, he himself present everywhere. Therefore, he is Vibhu, is omnipresent, not just by the consciousness like the Jeevaatma, but in this case, he himself present everywhere. With this short note, now let's see the questions, which will be easy now to understand. Questions. When I hear the Atma is situated in the heart region, I am imagining a powerful spark of light or energy that may not seen but felt. Can one think of the Paramatma somewhat similar, because we say that the Jeevaatma and Paramatma are situated together? Answer is yes. That is, Atma cannot be seen. It can only be realized. But a person realizes Atma, which is called self-realization, becomes as good as seeing the Atma. This is what termed as Atma Sakshatkara, means no one can see it, but it is as good as you have seen it. That experience is called Atma Sakshatkara, self-realization. Likewise, God realization also comes, but there is a slight difference. That is, for the common Jeevaatmas, living entities, the Lord is situated within the Atma itself. And for the great yogis, the Lord is situated within the Atma as well, plus He also appears in their heart with four-handed form. And this four-handed form is only visible for those great yogis who want to see the Lord in their heart. For them, the Lord appears in the size of a thumb finger, Angushta Matra Purushaha, as it is stated in the Vedas. Because the Lord who is situated within the Jeevaatma is of the form of Jnana and Ananda, whereas the Lord who appears for the yogis in the heart has Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma with the four-handed form, carrying disc, lotus flower, a club and a conch shell. This form is revealed to those yogis due to their strong meditation. So one more time, the Atma is situated in the heart region and Paramatma is situated within the Jeevaatma who is situated in the heart. This is a common thing for all the Jeevaatmas, whether they are Baddhatma, the conditioned soul, or the Muktatmas, or the Nityatmas. But in this world, for the yogis, the Lord appears in the heart region distinctly in the size of thumb, carrying the Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma. That doesn't mean that for yogis, he is not within the Atma of the yogi, he is still present within that yogi's Atma as well. In addition, he reveals his four-handed form to those yogis who meditate upon the beautiful form of the Lord. Now the next question. In Shaubari Muni's instance, the Jeevaatma is in the main body with the Paramatma. The Jeevaatma has spread its jnana into the 49 other forms of Shaubari Muni. So, he is only one Jeevaatma, limited to 50 forms. The Supreme Lord, being all-pervasive, is in and with every one of those forms. Question is, so is Paramatma, the Supreme Energy, present specifically within each Jeevaatma? And generally as the all-pervasive energy that is everywhere, like in the case of Shaubari Muni's expansions? I'm going to repeat the question, paraphrase it. Is Paramatma present within Jeevaatma and also is present everywhere? Answer is yes. The Vedas says is Antarbhagisyasat Sarvam Vyapya Narayana Sthitaha. The Lord Narayana is all-pervading. He exists both within and without. That means he is present within each one of us and is also present outside of us. The two reasons for him to do this one: by staying outside, he dharanat, means he carries everything. By being inside us, niyanta, he executes things by being present inside. These are the two functions he does. By being inside, he executes things. By being outside, he carries things, which also includes us and this entire creation. Whereas in our case, we can only be situated in one place. We cannot be inside and outside. But in the case of Shaubari Muni, he was able to be outside, not physically, but through his consciousness, through his jnana, which was spread into these 50 bodies. Whereas the Lord is not limited to 50 bodies and 100 bodies. Without any restrictions, limitation, He is present everywhere. Not only is present in the living entities, even in non-living entities, the Lord is present. Nothing exists without His presence. And the last question, there was an example given in one of the class that two birds on a same branch. One bird represents Jeevaatma, whereas the other bird represents Paramatma. The Jeevaatma bird turned away from the Paramatma, busy eating the fruits from the tree, whereas the Paramatma bird is simply be a watcher. So I am visualizing the Paramatma specifically present with the Jeevaatma, not just generally like a temple deity. I guess the answer has already been said earlier, that the Paramatma is visible for yogis, the great devotees within the heart, like the temple deity, but it is not commonly seen or realized by everyone. Therefore, the temple deities are there for us to see the same Paramatma who can be seen inside otherwise. There is no difference between the Lord who reveals Himself in our heart and Archa Vigraha, the deity form in the temple. They are one and the same. Those who can meditate internally see the Lord within. Those who can't, the Lord is available externally in the deity form. One should not think this is greater than the other one. They are one and the same. And an additional response to this example that's been stated earlier about two birds sitting on a same branch in a tree is a way for us to understand that the Lord is watching us. That's all. When the other bird turns around with eagerness to see that Paramatma bird, then that bird reveals itself to the Jeevaatma, but not until it turns. As it is said, when we take a step towards the Lord takes 100 steps towards us. I hope this answers all the questions. If not, kindly post the follow-up questions. Thank you. Hare Krishna.